Hello everyone, it's Foo here. So today I want to talk to you about the weirdest secret buff to the ability Cud Chew that made it so much better and actually potentially viable in competitive Pokemon, and why it was quickly patched out of the game only a few weeks after it had been introduced. So Cud Chew is an ability that was introduced in Scarlet and Violet, with only Paldean Tauros and Farigiraf getting access to the ability, and it relates to berries. So if you eat a berry in battle, the Pokemon will then eat the same berry again at the end of the following turn, basically eating your berry twice, which is kind of an interesting effect. You could have maybe a couple of citrus berries giving you passive healing of 50% over 2 turns, which is kind of nice. Or you could maybe have a stat boosting berry and eat that twice, which is interesting too. But really, it's pretty situational and kind of disappointing, especially compared to the ability Harvest, where if you eat your berry, you have a 30% chance of getting that berry back at the end of the turn, and you can have that happen multiple times. And actually, in the sun, you're guaranteed to get that berry back, so you can recycle your berries tons of times, rather than just eating it one extra time. So, in comparison to Harvest, it looked like Cud Chew was kind of inferior. But in the version 1.2.0 update of Scarlet and Violet, the Cud Chew mechanic was updated. And with this new buff, Cud Chew activated every other turn after eating your berry, potentially giving you infinite berry activations in a far more reliable way than even Harvest does, because Harvest only has a 30% chance of getting that berry back unless sun is up, whereas Cud Chew, every other turn you would definitely get your berry. And what's very cool to note is that you don't even have to meet the activation criteria to eat the berry with Cud Chew. It's not like you're just holding a berry again. Actually, you just eat the berry again. So, like, if you have your citrus berry the next turn, even if you're above 50% health, you'll eat the citrus berry again to recover even more health. Whereas Harvest, if you had a citrus berry and you ate it, when you get the citrus berry back, you have to go below half HP again to eat the citrus berry. So, in some ways, this buffed Cud Chew was way better than Harvest. It's important to note that when Cud Chew was scheduled to activate, you had to be able to eat the berry at that point, or else the chain of infinite Cud Chew activations would end. So by that I mean, if you had a citrus berry and you ate it after going under 50% HP, and then the next turn you ate it again, and then the turn after the next you ate it again, you're potentially at full health then. The next Cud Chew activation, you have to have lost some HP, or else you're still at full health and you can't eat another citrus berry. And if you don't eat the citrus berry when Cud Chew should have activated, then it won't come back again for the rest of the match. So that's something to bear in mind, and it means that the buffed Cud Chew maybe seem to be better with stat boosting berries compared to HP recovering berries, because those HP recovering berries were maybe time limited if you were at full HP, whereas the stat boosting berries would keep coming back until you maxed out a stat, which is a desirable thing to happen. You could eat the stat boosting berry every other turn and potentially turn Paldean Tauros or Farigiraf into a potent sweeper. So now we can start to consider how this could be competitively viable. For Tauros, as a fast physical attacker, boosting its speed or attack stat with a Salac Berry or a Lychee Berry respectively could be quite strong. So maybe for the Blaze Paldean Tauros, you could have Bulk Up with a Salac Berry, so you can boost your attack with Bulk Up, and then your speed can get faster when you get into the Salac Berry pinch range. For the Aqua Tauros, because you have the Aqua Jet priority, you maybe don't need the Salac Berry speed boost, so you could instead go for the Lychee Berry, get to that pinch berry range, start getting the attack boosts, and maybe sweep through with boosted Aqua Jets or with your powerful close combats. The main issue for Tauros is that you have to get below 25% HP to be able to activate these pinch berries for the first time to start getting the Cud Chew activations. And Tauros doesn't really have recovery, so it's left very frail with low HP and could maybe be picked off by faster priority if you're not careful. So that was the main issue for Tauros. For Farigiraf, it's kind of a different deal. Farigiraf is a much better user of this buffed Cud Chew for a number of reasons. It's got good bulk, so it could use defensive boosts really well. It's got a high special attack stat, and that's really what you'd be using to sweep through. So if you get special attack boosts, that's good. And also if you get speed boosts, then that can be helpful for you to sweep through. And that's one of the reasons why a staff berry can be great for Farigiraf. This is a pinch berry that boosts a random stat by 2 stages. And most of Farigiraf's stats are good to boost. And even if you get a stat that isn't good for Farigiraf to boost, like attack or accuracy, it doesn't really give Farigiraf anything, the move that you want to sweep through with is probably Stored Power, which gets more powerful regardless of what stat you're boosting. So even if you get an attack boost or an accuracy boost, Stored Power is going to be more powerful. So you can get these staff activations, and you can do that infinitely every other turn, getting 2 boosts, meaning that Stored Power can get extremely strong. Farigiraf also does get recovery in Wish, so as long as you can get down to below 25% HP, maybe with substitutes or maybe just by getting hit by attacks, you can then Wish Protect up to above Pinchberry range, and you'll still get Cud Chew activations and more Staff Berries. And once you get a few defense boosts, with this Wish Protect, Farigiraf will become extremely difficult to KO. So I think this set is really interesting for Farigiraf. The only real drawback is Dark types are immune to Stored Power, so you might want a Fairy type move on Farigiraf, and you might want to maybe sacrifice Substitute if you think that the opponent will attack you into Pinchberry range. But yeah, I think that this is so cool and could have given Farigiraf a very interesting alternative set to use. But that's where we get to the disappointing part of this story, because in version 1.3.0 of Scarlet and Violet, this has been patched out. It turns out that the Cud Chew buff was actually a glitch that was not intended to happen, which kind of makes sense when you read the Cud Chew description, because it says that it will eat the berry again at the end of the next turn. It doesn't say it will eat the berry again and again and again and again. It was only ever intended to be eaten one more time, which is really disappointing. I guess what was happening was that every time you ate the berry with Cud Chew, it kind of reset Cud Chew, thinking that that was the first time you ate the berry, and then it ate it again. So yeah, it got patched out, and that's really disappointing. I mean, this buff didn't make Cud Chew broken by any means, it made it a lot better, but both Tauros and Farigiraf kind of have better and more reliable abilities already. Tauros has Intimidate, which is just a fantastic ability in most situations, and Farigiraf has Armor Tail, which is an incredible ability for doubles, especially with so much priority being thrown around. It protects you and your ally from priority. Sapsiput is also good for Farigiraf because it means that you can't get put to sleep with Sleep Powder or Spore. So Cud Chew is kind of just this alternative gimmicky set that would have been really interesting and really fun to use, but it never really got its time in the limelight, because by the time that the community had actually discovered this, we had maybe a few days to actually put it into practice. In fact, the patch to remove this buff from the game happened so quickly that the online competitive Pokemon simulator Pokemon Showdown hadn't even implemented this mechanic yet. So players on Pokemon Showdown never actually really got to test this Cud Chew mechanic out. So that brings us to the end of this strange Cud Chew story. I think there was a lot of potential here, and I'd be really interested to know if you have any fun ideas of sets that could have abused this Cud Chew buff. Let me know in the comments section below. But that's going to be all for today. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more content. All that's left to be said is I've been Foo, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.